Hey everyone, welcome back to Recipe Bingo, the show where we cook food from a country that we hit on the map. If we hit a country 3 times, we're gonna travel there. Last week we hit the Philippines, so we're gonna make a Filipino breakfast today. Now let's start with our breakfast. First, we're gonna make the longanisa, which is a small breakfast sausage that's pretty common in the Philippines. First, you have to cut your pork into small pieces. We're going to use 2.5 pounds or 1.1 kilograms of pork butt. I know there's no pork butt, we used lion, but I would recommend to use butt because it's a little more juicier, you have more fat and it makes the whole sausage at the end juicier. And also use 1/2 pound or 260 grams of pork back fat. If you don't have that, then I recommend to use twice or almost 3 times as much of pork belly, cut in small cubes, and just put all of that on a baking tray, cover it with plastic wrap and put it in the freezer for probably an hour to an hour and a half that everything is getting really cold, which will help later when we're going to grind the meat. Now in the meantime, we're gonna make our spice mixture. For that, we're gonna use 1/2 cup or 100 grams of sugar, 1 teaspoon or 1 gram of oregano, 1/4 teaspoon or 1 gram of dried ginger, 1/2 teaspoon or 2 grams of black pepper, 4 teaspoons or 24 grams of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon or 3 grams of pork powder number 1, which is that pink powder that we just put in the mixture. Put everything together into a spice grinder and then just let everything mix well together until you have a nice, well combined spice mixture. What I like to do is to add the sugar at the end and just use a little whisk and mix all of that together so you don't grind the sugar within the spice grinder. And if you mix it long enough, it will look like this. Just kidding, these are our hot casings. I just ordered them from Amazon and just put them into some cold water. Let them sit for probably a half an hour before we fill them. Now our meat should be cold, so we just get it out of the fridge or freezer, and we're gonna add our spice mixture and just mix the whole thing together. I like to wear gloves for that because otherwise you have the whole spice mixture and everything in your hands, so just make sure everything is nice and incorporated before we're gonna add some vinegar. To be more specific, we're gonna add 1/4 cup or 60 grams of white vinegar. Just mix everything together and usually the meat should soak in some of the vinegar. Now it's time to grind our meat. Make sure you put your meat grinder in the freezer probably half an hour before. Just make sure everything is really cold, which really helps. I did grind all of it with the largest whole plate that I have at first before I used half of the mixture and did grind it with a 1 size smaller whole plate. Do all of that and then just make sure you mix everything together, and that's our meat mixture. Now we're gonna put that into our casings. I have here a actual sausage stuffer. If you don't have one, you can also use a bottle, seen that before, or usually a meat grinder comes with like a sausage stuffer. It's a little more work and a little annoying, but it works as well. Now just put your casings on top of that and close the front of it, and then you slowly add the sausage meat into that. Try not to push it too much, so otherwise the casing might actually explode, but also try not to have too much air in it. And then just do that until the casing is gone, and then you repeat that until all of the sausage mixture or meat is in casings. Next, you use your butcher's twine and you tie them into sausages that are around 8 centimeters or 3 inches wide. And there's a special technique to tie the longanisas down. I will link a video that explains that in the description. And now you do that for all your sausages and put them into a airtight container and let them cure for 3 to 5 days. When that's done, we are gonna boil them for probably 15 to 20 minutes or until the water is completely gone. And then you should see that a lot of sugar comes out, which will give the sausage its nice caramelization, a nice brown like color to it, and it gives it like the sweetness that you probably would not expect. When the water is gone, I just like to cut them into single sausages, add a little bit of oil, and then just make sure you really glaze them all around. And that's it. These are our sausages. We didn't use enough fat because we couldn't get the back fat, so they got a little dry, but besides that, they were really, really good. And now we're gonna make the second dish, the tapsilog, which is a marinated beef that you best start at least the day before to let it marinate overnight in the fridge. First, we will need lots of garlic. To be more specific, 6 cloves of garlic that we just crush into a glass container. Now we're gonna add 1/4 cup or 65 grams of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. Mix all that together and then just use a whisk to make sure everything is nice combined as always. If you want, you can also add some freshly ground black pepper. And now we're gonna cut our sirloin in thin slices. Make sure that you cut against the grain, which will help to get a more tender beef. We used 1 pound of sirloin here. Now add all of that into our mixture. Make sure everything is well incorporated. Put an airtight lid on it and put it in the fridge overnight. That's all for now, and then see you tomorrow morning. The beef has now marinated overnight. What we're gonna do, just get a hot pan, add a little bit of oil, and we're just gonna stir fry our steak. That's all. Give it a few minutes until it's nice crisp on each side. Don't overcook it because it probably gets too dry if you do that. Probably 5 to 6 minutes, and that's the whole dish. Now we're in the home stretch, which is our garlic fried rice. We're gonna cook 2 cups of rice, and however we wanna cook rice, just make sure you wash the rice. And best case, you do it the day before though. When that's done, you're gonna slice 6 cloves of garlic, gonna roast them in 3 tablespoons of veggie oil. You can even add a little more. Make sure they're not getting too dark, just nice brown, but medium high heat, probably like 5 minutes. And then put them on a paper towel and make sure that they drain a little bit. Now use that garlic oil and you fry your rice in that. Just make sure everything's really nice, getting crispy. Add some sugar, some salt, and some black pepper and some garlic powder before you add your chopped minced garlic to it. Mix the whole thing up until everything's a little bit crispy. Then you add probably 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, and that's it. It's garlic fried rice. Tastes great, trust me. And now it's time to assemble our Filipino breakfast. And I have to say, you can top it with a sunny side up egg, which actually adds to it even more. And this whole thing is definitely my favorite so far. Like, the sausages add some sweetness to it and some tanginess due to them being cured for several days. Then you have the meat, which is just so delicious. And now it's also time to figure out where we go next week. Or it might even take longer, but next video we're gonna do, let's figure out where we're gonna go. And what's the moment we're gonna shoot? And is it maybe a country you have been? No, it doesn't look like it. What is it? It's Indonesia. So we haven't shot Indonesia before, so we're gonna make an Indonesian breakfast. Check out our channel. Next video will come soon. And again, this was a really great breakfast. I enjoyed it. It was amazing. Yeah, thanks so much for watching that. Check out our other videos and hit subscribe if you liked it. And we have a lot of things planned, so stay tuned.